Dear friends and colleagues, we are very sorry for technical issues with the streaming with the internet, but we are happy to continue the presentation. Thank you all for your patience, and as over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I kept going on my own. That was really funny. But no, technology sometimes fails us, and I'm more than happy to go back to where we left off. And so it looks like, and let me know in the chat, you guys, if you have any questions. We'll use the Q&A session to definitely, cover as much as possible. And so what I was saying about the American consumer, again, talking about like building this high, profile picture, is this is an individualistic and brand cautious consumer. And for brands who know how to use that, this is definitely something that you can use to your advantage, right? What I mean by that is this is a consumer that really, pays attention to quality, to value, but also to positive experiences that your brand could potentially provide. Let's go to the next slide. And so this is also a consumer that is very sensitive to convenience. What that means that this is an opportunity for you guys, actually. What that means is that this is a consumer that is ready to pay a little bit more for more convenience, for anything that makes the consumer's life easier, anything that solves my problems faster. And that goes for B2B and B2C, that saves me time, makes my life easier, anything. So this is a consumer that is ready to pay more for convenience. And that needs to be part of your thinking process when you're building user experiences, even when you're building your service and your products, right? Convenience is something very, very important for your future consumers. Next. And this is also a consumer that is eco-conscious more and more, and meaning that, American consumers, a lot of them pay more and more attention to eco-friendly initiatives. They care about, ethical sourcing of the ingredients. They ask more questions. It's not about just being the cheapest option out there or even the most convenient. Ethical considerations are definitely more and more important for this audience. And this is, again, something that you can use to your advantage when you're building your strategy and your messaging. The other thing is, let's look at the other slide. The other thing is, this is really a tool that you can use. And this is a good example that I want to share with you guys. This is a brand that just sells socks, right? And underwear. Not There's no extraordinary innovation in there, but they understood what I was talking about. They understood the importance of value. They understood the importance of bringing the consumer to your environment, to your value system, and going beyond the transaction, right? And so if you go to the next slide, please, you will see on their website that for each item you buy, actually one item is donated, of the same kind is donated, right? Very simple, very clear to explain. But look at what's happening thanks to this simple, this simple strategy there. Next slide. Now, on their website, you can read that making a purchase is no longer just a transaction. You are making a difference, right? You are putting good out there in the world. You are giving back to your community, doing something good just by buying with them. For every purchase, you make a difference, right? So now we're no longer talking about buying socks or underwear, which is something very, very basic. We're making a difference. Let's go to the next slide. And we are even talking about partners. All of a sudden, we're talking about hundreds, 3,500 in that case. I believe this is from 25 or 24, 3,500, growing partners, giving partners who are helping them make their impact in the, in the country, not in one like little location or region. Next slide. And now we are talking about impact report. Remember, we just started from where? From selling socks. Now we're talking about impact report. Next, please. And now we're talking about 200. You can see that actually in their websites right now. We're talking about 200 plus million items of essential clothing that were donated to people who need them. 200 million. Remember, guys, we started talking about buying and selling socks, right? A simple something that everybody does. Let's go to the next slide. And when you do those things right, you end up having amazing partners, right? Amazing partnerships. And let me tell you one thing for people who are still thinking about expanding to the US. Where you are, you definitely see opportunities. Hopefully you do see opportunities and expand into the market. But let me tell you this, once you start your expansion, once you are here, you will see even more opportunities that you don't see where you're out there. The opportunities are even bigger. And the more you are in the market, the more opportunities you have, the more access you have to things that you don't even knew existed, right? Next slide, please. This is also a consumer that is more and more cautious about health, wellness, well-being. You have full conferences that are dedicated only to that, and everyday consumers are becoming more and more aware and sensitive to well-being, wellness. And so that's something that you could use depending on what your service and your product is. That's something that you can use in your marketing. That's something you can use in your messaging, and even in building different features, in the future. That's something that you could use to your advantage. And this is not just, this is worldwide, but we can see it clearly in the American market. Next slide, please. The other thing, and that would be, and I'll conclude with that, which is actually the most important thing, one of the most important things, it's a consumer that expects innovation, not just open to innovation, but expects innovation. How cool is that when you have an innovative product, innovative service that you want to test, right? This is the best market to actually test it, because consumers are accustomed to innovation. They expect you to innovate, right? No matter how crazy it is, if you package it well, you structure it well, and you present it well at the right timing, the right way, then chances are you're really gonna make it succeed and make it work, because the consumer is not there. It's not really a problem. Like, how many markets you have worldwide where innovation is not a problem. Like, the innovation is expected, right? This is actually one of them, the most interesting things that I love about this market, for especially for startups that are building innovative solutions and products, and maybe are struggling with other markets. This is really the place to be, guys, and to test your solutions and grow from there. Next slide. I wanted to share some of those challenges that I see companies and founders really struggle with really quickly. And so we'll focus on mainly on the ones related to go-to-market strategy, because there are so many others. One of the main things is actually seeing founders overlook market research, overlook auditing and really going in depth and auditing the competitors, the existing market, understanding the dynamics. And I'm not talking about Googling, your future competitors. I'm not talking about looking up their price points and things that are surface level. I'm talking about something that is more in depth. Like a few weeks ago, my team delivered a report to a foreign company expanding to the US. Their product is filtered water with the specific technology. And then we went as far as to figure out the sales channels and the ad budget, the ad spend for the existing companies. Where are they selling? Where are they making the most of their sales? The messaging, the kind of feedback with the reviews that they're getting from their consumers, what is working, what is lacking, and like really, really going in depth. The more you do of that, right, the better understanding you have, and the more prepared you are, and the better the decisions you're going to be making when it comes to your expansion strategy or go to market strategy specifically, right? I also see, another challenge, and I'll stop here because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. The other thing I see is really overlooking the importance of culture, the importance of customizing your strategy to the American market. I see companies, for instance, who are successful where they are, I had a company that was planning to just translate their website from another language to English and use AI generated photos, and that's pretty much it. That's kind of how they customize and adapt their website to the American market, right? I don't think this is the best way to go about it. You need to have things that make sense culturally, the jargon, the language that is used that your customers are already using, right? You can't just, mirror what you already have. Sometimes your previous successes can be your enemies as well. You want to rethink that. I'm all for reusing what you already have to the maximum, but also for customizing, and so you can make the most out of your resources, but also adapt and customize what you have already. And we can even talk, if we had time, we can talk about the training your team. We can talk about, bringing your team up to speed with what you're trying to do, so they are part of the decision. They are part of this amazing project of expanding to the US successfully. Next slide, please. And so, based on everything that I've seen and all the challenges, and also talking to founders pretty much every week, and to other, experts in other in other areas that are seeing their own struggles and common mistakes, we kind of sat together and designed the U.S. expansion accelerator. Next slide, please. This is a 3 months program, totally online. You don't need to travel. You don't need to, leave whatever that you're doing. But we meet weekly for 1 hour and 30 minutes. We talk about specific, pillars, U.S. expansion pillars every week, and then we have a Q&A session. The sessions are presented by experts, 10+ years expertise in doing this and helping businesses with their, it's taxes, it's immigration, it's go-to-market strategy, it's site selection, you name it. So all the important pillars during those 3 months, we go over all those. Funding and funding readiness, this is another one also, and this is another thing that I really like about the market is the diversity of the funding options. On top of the banking, the angel investors, the VCs, and all the classic sources of funding, there are other creative sources, and we have a full session specifically about that, right? So that's pretty much what the program looks like really quickly. Next slide. The QR code that you will see in the next you see already on the top right corner, and you will see in the next slide. I think I talked about this already. Let's move to the next slide. So the QR code lead you with to the page where you can see the important information about the program. And you can also apply if you're part of you heard about the program here and you're part of this initiative, the America House initiative. You can apply for free fellowship, and then through the link you will find in the program page, and we'll look at your application. We'll be more than happy to welcome you and help you accelerate your US expansion. Just make sure you mention in the supporting organization America House, so you're part of this amazing initiative. So that's really pretty much it. I'm more than happy if we still have time to take a couple of questions. And yeah, next slide. That will be the slide to say thank you. And we'll be more than happy to take any questions if we still have time.
Thank you so much, Ines, for such an insightful presentation and for sharing so many practical tips and examples. I'm sure everyone watching online has come away with a better understanding of what it takes to successfully enter to the US market. And we have a question, like in your opinion, like we have a stereotype, or maybe not stereotype, that many entrepreneurs worrying that they need a large budget to enter the US market. What do you think? Can startups begin testing the market with limited resources?
That's a very good question because there's a misconception that you will need necessarily a very big budget to expand. Obviously, that depends on, are you building a factory or are you, bringing your IP? Are you, the budgets differ depending on the project, but as a rule of thumb, there are always smart ways to get things done, to get started, to test the market while, being budget cautious. And I think honestly, part of this is surrounding yourself with the right people, having a source support system, having a good network that can help you avoid, costly mistakes, and help you expand efficiently and also fast, because those mistakes, not only they're costly, but they can delay your expansion and your growth. So not necessarily having a big budget, but being smart about it. I think, for instance, that investing in educational programs, that's definitely the good way to go, but also investing in going to Select USA. I know this is not the topic for today, but going to Select USA, that's definitely one of the best investments that you could do. And I have like a full session. I'm not going to talk about this like right now, otherwise we'll need another hour. But basically, investing in going to Select USA, that's going to definitely help you expedite your US expansion.
Oh, awesome. That's encouraging to hear. We've talked a lot about the customers, and what do you think is the one thing that surprises international founders most when they start selling to US customers?
Oh, so there are a few things actually. The importance of trust. That's something that I've seen over and over again because we tend to think of things, sales, as simply transactional. Trust and building a good brand and building a good reputation. People look you up. Even if you heard about the product from a friend, you trust the person, but you look it up online. You look the vendor, the partner, the product, whatever it is. I think they overlook the importance of reputation, the importance of building trust and authority. And nowadays, it's even more important for you to show up online, for your product or service to be recommended in AI search engines. It's not just for the humans like you and I, it's also for bots and AI search platforms, for you to build a reputation fast. And there are ways to, get those reviews going, start building this reputation fast. I think this initiative, one of the things that I love about this initiative is that it brings awareness to things that are important. They're not just, like boxes that you need to check in your US expansion. It's really building the right mindset. So you're there not just to enter the market, because entering the market itself is not that difficult. It's really entering successfully with the least mistakes possible and growing there and scaling. And ultimately, if you have an exit strategy, that's even better.
So we can say that American customers value most is trust. So,
Absolutely. I think this is overlooked. Yeah, I think this is overlooked. I mean, there are many other things that are surprising, but I think that's, one of the most important things that people don't expect.
okay, thank you, Ines. And we have a question from the audience. And with this, I would like to thank you for speaking to Ukrainian audience, because next question we have specifically from Ukrainian businesses.
Okay.
And in your opinion, are there any sectors where you currently see particularly strong opportunities for Ukrainian startups in the US market?
Oh, that's a very good question. Whoever asked this question, thank you so much. That's a great one. And so I've had the pleasure to meet the Ukrainian delegation Select USA, and honestly, I was impressed by the quality really of the products and even the people, honestly, and the entrepreneurs. What I would say is definitely technology and tech products and AI there's an opportunity for that worldwide, and the audience, your audience, your is ready. That's very important. Timing is very key, is very important. I would say really use, and I know there's a beautiful tech startup ecosystem in Ukraine and a lot of innovative startups. I would say really use that to the fullest, because now is the time for um, you to use technology to your advantage, to start testing those tools, to start entering those verticals. Because yes, AI is becoming a buzzword, but it's going to be like our day to day. We barely, in my opinion, scratch the surface of what's possible. There are a lot of disruptions that are going to happen, and in a good way, in different industries. But whoever starts experimenting first, and start testing the market first and learning and making mistakes first, you know what I mean? That's where the growth happens. I would say use this to your advantage and use your uniqueness as well. Because another thing, if we had more time, we can talk about this more. But basically, I see a lot of companies trying to melt, right? Just, be like the other competitors out there. And not use their uniqueness of their identity. The goal is definitely to align, and do better than the competition, but also use your uniqueness. The other day with the LA EDC, I believe we had a Taiwanese delegation, and they were asking, one of the companies asked me pretty much the same question. And we were talking, I believe the company was in the beauty industry, well, beauty and wellness. And I told the lady, use your country brand, because Taiwanese, products and beauty products, they have certain reputation. Use it. The point is, use your identity, use your uniqueness. As Ukrainians company, you have an amazing reputation of innovation. I would say absolutely use it.
Okay, thank you. And I also would like to remind our participants about the unique opportunity to continue learning from Ines through the US Expansion Accelerator program, where you'll receive even more practical tips, best practices, do nots for entering into the Ines market. Ines, first of all, thank you for offering spots for our Business Impact Series participants and for spaces for US government alumni. And could you please tell us a little bit more about the US Expansion Accelerator program? Who is the ideal participant? What practical outcomes can participants expect by the end of the program?
No, thank you so much. Absolutely. This is a program that was designed in a very unique way based on experience that I went through myself working with companies and partners, and also listening to experts in other verticals like legal, taxes, site selection, and even immigration and all of that. It was really built around the needs of companies expanding to the US. The goal is you will walk away literally with a big overview of all the expansion steps, and you will walk away with an action plan for your US expansion. This is really the goal, and we're building this roadmap with you every week. With every, it's not just presentations and Q and A's. It's way more than that. You are going to, with every vertical part of the US expansion, you're going to build that. We're going to build that with you. And by the end of program, you will know what's missing. You will know what you will have a better understanding of the action plan. Who can apply? Companies, obviously founders outside the US, companies offering an innovative product, a service, technology, whatever it is. And you will have in the application form the chance to tell us more about this. Companies exploring US market entry, say in the 1 to 3 years, right, range, and they are actively looking to educate themselves and build their UX expansion, plans. Um, and you will have to be able to communicate ideally, in English, and participate in live virtual sessions. We keep it short. It's just 1 hour and 30 minutes every week, but you get so much value from that. And by the end of the program, if you're funding ready, because we have 2 sessions, I believe, about funding. If you're funding ready, we'll be happy to introduce you to investors, and you can pitch, and then you take it from there. So that's pretty much the criteria. We keep it very founder friendly. But then also we want to have founders that are really serious about the expansion and that are considering it, because we want you to attend, we want you to ask those questions. And on top of that, you will have free sessions with those experts that are presenting each topic. 30 minutes, you can ask private sessions, you can ask your questions and get your answers for your specific case. Hopefully that answers a little bit your question, Yulia.
Yes, and now I think that we're going to have more applications that is slots available. Highly encourage everybody to apply. We'll resend the link about the accelerator and the registration link. Deadline to apply in as July 2nd, right?
Absolutely. We still have 2 weeks, and we'll be having an info session tomorrow. Actually, we'll be more than happy to, share the link with the session where we're gonna answer more questions about the program, and the outcomes and how to make the most out of it, right? Because that could be like a launch pad for your expansion and saves you hundreds of hours of research, of mistakes, and calls and all of that, and you have it just in 3 months.
So we'll share with our participants in our Telegram chat and follow in us on LinkedIn, where also you may find the updates. And Ines, thank you once again for sharing all these insights. And before we wrap up, I'd like to ask one final question, and I think everyone watching can take away and apply then after to your accelerator. So you mentioned that you worked with the Ukrainian delegation at the Select USA. We do hope to welcome you in a peaceful Ukraine once Ukraine wins. And with this, so you've met Ukrainians, you've met these innovative leaders. So, what will be one piece of advice you would leave them while they continue building connections with the United States and United States market?
No, yes, definitely. I met with a delegation, and like I said, I was really impressed by the projects, the innovations, the also the honestly the founders, and this is also a big delegation. So I was surprised to see how cool is that. Like I think it was one of the biggest delegations in Select USA, if I'm not mistaken.
From Ukraine, it was the biggest ever delegation from Ukraine.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I knew there were some records that were there. So basically, there are many things that I would love to share to really make sure you guys succeed. Because with all the projects that I saw, they are really amazing projects. So if I had to leave you with like one, let's say a few thoughts, if you will, Yulia, if you know, if you allow me to, really make sure you educate yourself before starting your expansion. It's a lot of companies think that when you create the entity, that's where technically you expanded. That's just one portion of the entire process. The more you educate yourself, the more you learn about the market, the more you invest time into understand the competition, the dynamics, the higher your chances are to succeed and fast. Another thing is not just thinking about expanding, but then what? After that, what happens? You need to grow. You need to have customers. You need to have a customer acquisition system. I think that's the most important thing, honestly, because everything else is done once. You incorporate, you get those taxes, the license, and all of that. Okay, now what? So thinking about the growth from the get-go sets you up for success, right? Whoever is your customer, it doesn't matter, B2B, B2C, you have to have this system. And the reason why I'm insisting is because as I'm talking to other founders, they focus on finding, like I said, a distributor, a one person, a one company that would allow them to access. It could be a temporarily good strategy, could be really good strategy for certain companies. But if you're there for the long run, you want to have your footprint. You want to have control of your narrative. You want to have control of your product. So think long term, right? That's what I would like to say. Think systems rather than just getting this first customer. I understand the excitement of getting this first American customer. This I celebrated my first customer like if it was, I don't know, if it was like the lifetime changing thing, because that's really rewarding. But then what? You want to think about the next steps, think systems, think automations. These are really, there's more to that, but these are the really two important things that came to my mind right now.
Thank you so much, Ines, for sharing these insights because, yes, we still have like this knowledge gaps. And when, as Ukrainian business representatives, we think that, yes, you get your first customer or you should show your innovative products and it will, do all the work. But there are so many things and pieces to make your entry to United States markets a success.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for sharing your time, for your expertise, for all the practical advice. We truly appreciate you joining us all the way from the Los Angeles today. And we are honored to have you as our first speaker of the Business Impact Series at America House. And thank you for inspiring so many Ukrainians today, Ukrainian innovators and business leaders. Thank you
Thank you
also
so much.
to everyone for joined us today. And this is just the beginning of the Business Impact Series. We look forward to seeing you at our upcoming events. Please stay tuned. Please subscribe for America House, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please subscribe to our Telegram chat where we share updates and where we're going to share more information about the accelerator that Ines announced today.
Thank you so much for having me and for, welcoming me in such an amazing, program and initiatives. Wish you all the best with the America House initiative.
Thank you, Ines. And also, we'll share a quick image with the QR code that you can scan and subscribe to our Telegram chat. The video will be also available at America House YouTube and Facebook pages. It's going to be recorded and available. Thank you, everybody, and wishing everybody a wonderful and peaceful evening.
Thank you.